Welcome back to the Circuit Revival, where today we're going to take a look at this Nintendo Switch. Now, I've got a bunch of parts on order, so I've got a bunch of projects halfway through, so I thought hopefully look at something that I might be able to complete in one go. So this came as a unit with both the dock and the little kind of holder for the Joy-Cons. I don't think I've ever seen a Switch with two blue Joy-Cons before, in all fairness, but I don't know if you can see it, but these Joy-Cons are grim. You can kind of even see from a distance there there's gunk in all of the ports and stuff. And also it's missing the covers on the caps, and there's just gunk all inside there. Now, I don't know what's wrong with this one. We'll check the port and see whether it's another port issue. So if we just jump over to the microscope here we are under the microscope, and you can see pin-wise doesn't look too bad, so we might be able to plug this in. Not sure if there's some pins off to the side just down here. Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen that, the actual outside of the port all wobbly. Now, I can't tell if these pins are misaligned. These ones just off to the side here. No, okay, they look like they might be right. So let's try plug this in and see whether we get anything from it. Now, I'm still a bit dubious about my power supply blowing up switches, so I'm just going to use the official one for now and see what we get on the ammeter here. So if we plug this in, this should tell us what's going on. So we get 5 volts at 0.8 amp, so no draw and suck at 5 volts, so we're not getting any communication. So I feel like maybe that could be a M92 issue. Now, probably as good a time as ever to rip this band-aid off then and see whether this is doing anything. So we'll try my power supply and see whether this does anything different. So if I just open up the software. Okay, so I've got the ammeter sorted, it's just up there, so we can plug this in and see what it does. Okay, that's kind of positive, at least it's not done anything different, so maybe we were just unlucky with the switches. So again, 5 volts, no negotiation there to the 15 volts. So let's get this open and have a look. We'll pull the Joy-Cons off for now, and we'll get into this now. Always worth checking, but no game card, and you can kind of see no memory card there. So Switch isn't in the worst condition. It's got a screen protector on, which is quite good. So I'm still not fully sure how to get into these, so I will fast forward through this and I'll jump back in once we're apart. Okay, so I just started to take this apart, and I have a strong feeling this has probably already been apart once already, because these screws are really easy to undo, and usually they're quite difficult. Plus this one here just seems to be spinning. It doesn't seem like it's undoing, so I think this has probably already been apart once already, but we'll get inside and see what it looks like. Okay, so I thought maybe someone had been inside this before, but I'm starting to think maybe not so much anymore, because if they did, how is there this much dust inside here? I feel like that might be part of the issue why things have gone wrong, because that is a lot of dust. So we'll keep going through. Okay, so we're enough to test this out. What we'll do is we'll start by taking a look at M92, which is just this chip just here. This is what I believe is the power management IC. So I think it decides how it should charge and all of that side of things. So we'll pull the microscope round, we'll just jump under the scope, and we'll just test around that to begin with. So if we just jump over. So here we are, there is M92, as you can see by the name, and there's a few capacitors around it. Now, these capacitors should only beep on one side, they shouldn't beep on both sides. So we're in continuity mode, which is the mode that beeps when we have a complete circuit, like so. And you'll also see just up the top there, it varies as well. Now, this cap just here we've had a bit of trouble with recently, where it's been short on both sides, and that is the APU cap, which basically if that is shorted, it's pretty much game over from the start. So we'll start with that one. Beep on one side, shouldn't beep on this side, and it doesn't. We have 400 ohms. I don't know if that's right or not, but we'll just work our way around these other ones. Okay, here we go. So these ones here, you can see the tracks from the chip run to this side. This should not be shorted, but this side does because it goes to ground. So I think it's pretty clear that this is a bad M92. So we'll continue getting this out of the case, and we'll have a look at the USB port whilst we're at it as well, because that shouldn't be sort of rattling around like it does. So I'll jump back in once we're fully apart. Okay, here we are all out of the chassis, and we're just taking a look at the USB port here. Not only can you see quite how dusty this is now, we can also have a look at the port itself is not doing too well. I wouldn't be surprised if that actually just came off soon. So that definitely needs replacing for sure. And here's our M92. So we'll start by getting those both off the board, and then we'll double check whether that short has gone. So we'll do what we usually do. I'm just going to add some leaded solder probably. No, what we'll do then is we'll just get some heat to this. We'll lift it up, we'll add some leaded solder, we'll lift the M92 chip off, check that short's gone, and then we'll come back in afterwards. So I'll just get my stands. Okay, so here we are, just balanced over the edge of the desk, and you can see I've got my hot air station here. I'm just gonna heat up from underneath, and then once the port is warm enough, which we should see by these little ports here starting to melt, we'll just lift this port off, and then we'll reposition the board, and we'll get M92 off from above, and then like I said, we'll wait for the board to cool down, and we'll test whether it's all sorted. Okay, so you possibly saw in this port here, you saw the little leg was still stuck in there, which probably explains why the outside of that shield was rattling around a lot, because the actual port itself, the casing had snapped. So let's move the position of this around whilst the board is still hot, and let's try and get M92 off the board. Okay, this time I'm going to add my nozzle back on, just because it should help direct heat a bit better. Okay, here we are at M92. Let's try get this off the board. We'll add some flux, just in case. Okay, that's the M92 and the port off. Now, I'll be honest, I wish I cleaned it up a bit more before I turned it off, because that port was horrible. It was so covered in dust that the heat was just sort of burning it all. And I don't know if you've ever turned on like a fan heater after a long time of it sitting around. You get that sort of like burnt dust smell. That's what it smelled like. So I think the moral of that story is make sure to clean things up before you burn them. Let's try and clean up some of this, because I think there's a bit too much solder there now. Just get a little bit of wick. There we go. Okay, we'll let this board cool down a little bit then, and then we'll see whether those shorts are gone. Okay, so I think the board should have cooled down enough there, so we can double check the resistance on this now. So I've got one of these probes on ground, and we'll go just to the top of these again, and you can see it's registering as open. So definitely an M92 issue there. So let's see if we can get a new one. Now I'm running low on some of these, so I probably need to get some new ones in. But what we'll do is we'll add some flux to this, and then we'll just add a little bit of solder, which should just help it when it comes to putting it on. So we'll just tin all of these edges. There's that side. That side. And that's one. There we go. There's all those edges. I'm going to leave the ground pad in the middle because I think there's enough solder on the board for that. So we'll just get that off to the side. We'll pull our board back in. Okay, here we have the board. I'll just add a tiny amount of flux to this. Spread it around a little bit. And we're going to orientate it. So pin 1 is up the top here as signified by that arrow. And then on the chip signified by the little circle there. Let me just get this onto the board. So hard to see, but the circle is there just because it's covered in flux. So we'll just get our hot air ready. I think they're okay. So I think they're all good. So let's just double check whether those caps are still shorted now that we've put a new chip back on. Nope. So that's all good. So we just need to prep a new port and let's get a new port on. Okay, let's prep the port so we'll get a bit of flux on here. Get our solder. There's the pins all prepped. So we can get our board back ready. Okay, we'll just make sure this area is all prepped. That area looks like it might be lacking a bit of solder, but we've got leaded on this now, so it should melt a bit easier. We'll just make sure that all of our pins are completely covered. There we go. We'll get our new port ready to drop on. And we'll heat up like we did before from underneath. Okay, they're all good there, and then the underside looks all good. It's a bit dirty. Let's clean up some of this burnt flux though. Okay, here we have the board. Just clean this off quickly. And I think that should be all good. We'll start with the official charger again, and then this will be a final test, see whether my power supply is doing anything. So we'll plug this in, and then in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we get the 15 volts. But I'm not sure if that looks like that's doing anything. Okay, we get 15 volts there as well. So M92 has been successful. Let's try with the ammeter on the screen just here. So 3, 2, 1. 15 volts up to 0.05. So that's not good. Because what we should see is that go up and then come back down and then start flashing. So I feel like something is not right there. So I don't think that's supposed to idle like that. I think it's supposed to come back down. But to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen it on a normal switch. I've only seen the switch light. So maybe what we do then is just get this back in the chassis and see whether that's all working. Okay, let's get this in the chassis and see whether it makes any difference. Okay, so I think we're together enough to test this. I'm still not fully certain with the switches what does need to be on there. So I think we're together, but we'll try plug this in and see what happens then. Okay, that's dropped down. Ah, yes. So we have a charging symbol on the screen here. We'll leave this to charge up then. And we'll see what happens. And it's nice to know that my power supply is not blowing up switches. I just got quite unlucky with them. Okay, so we've just booted up here. It's just gone into sleep mode. So let's just bring that back. Okay, but I have no digitizer. That might be because I've forgotten to plug it in, but for now let's just check okay, Joy-Cons connect. Okay, left Joy-Con did not connect. Oh, there it is. I think it's just wasn't in enough. But that all works. Okay, fan is really ramping up there. So I'm just going to turn this off just because that fan doesn't like this. Okay, that might be because I don't have the heatsink and stuff on it. But I didn't have the touch screen there. Okay. So, which one is the touch screen? And let's just check. Are there any cables that I've not got plugged in? Okay, well, I think what I'll do then is let me just get this all the way back together properly and then we can test it all a bit better, really. Okay, so I've got the shield and everything on now, so it shouldn't overheat as easily. Let's see if I've still got the touchscreen or whether the touchscreen is missing, as well as see if these connect properly. So booting up there. Okay, the right side definitely is there. Left side is there as well. Okay, and I've got touchscreen now. So let's go down to system settings, test input devices, test controller buttons. Okay, so the left is got a pretty weak left shoulder. And the arrows are not working here. So if we end that, test the touchscreen. Touchscreen's all good. Okay, so I think it might be either a bad rail or the Joy-Con's a bit bad because it connects. Okay, that shoulder button's still definitely a bit hit and miss, but the rest are there. And let's just double check, do they both work wirelessly? Yeah. Yeah, so that shoulder's definitely a bit hit and miss there, but that's all good. So I will take a look at this Joy-Con in a separate video then, but for now we will call that a fix. So let's make this 13:4. Okay, so that's 13:4 there. That was a good one there. It was nice to see an immediate fault, quite clear and easily fixed. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.